Welcome back, I'm Wavepunk, and this is day 74 of producing for a year, producing on a plane edition. We're flying back from Copenhagen here. We got an 11-hour flight, and we're going to knock out as much editing and producing as we can and having a good time with it. We have discovered, wonderfully, the goniometer in Logic. I had seen a thing like this in YouTube videos from other producers, but they were always using paid plugins. Those plugins always dealt with stereo width. I'd always wanted to see what I could learn from looking at my music through something like this. The scope here shows you where things are placed in a stereo space, and I think having a visual reference to tie to my sounds will help my ear improve. This is already fascinating. I mean, just watch how much more mono that Game Boy section of our track is than the sections before and after. There's so many things I want to do with this. I want to put the music that I look up to and that I enjoy through this and see what it looks like, see what I can learn from that. But I'm not sure if I can download files on the plane. I don't really want to deal with that right now. So I also want to just listen to individual sounds, kind of go to a very fundamental level and see what sort of shapes we can make and see what sort of things we can learn. First, let's just throw up a square wave from the 8-Bit Magical plugin. As expected, perfectly mono and directly in the front. Now, what if we make it a fifth? It's still completely mono, but now sometimes it's to the back. I don't know what that means or why it does that, but it's cool. If we change the pulse duty, does that change anything? It appears to move less front to back, but we're still completely mono here. So let's add a spreader. Now there's two things in Logic. There's two plugins in Logic that are called a spreader. There's the spreader, and then there's the stereo spreader. What the difference is, not quite sure. We're gonna go with the spreader on this one, and holy crap, that's so cool. The shapes are like crazy satisfying. Some of the spreader presets seem to move the sound around in like 3 dimensions instead of just 2. While I don't know what that third dimension is exactly, and I also don't really hear it per se. I can't hear a difference between the 2 and the 3 here, at least on these headphones. But the visual is very obvious. Now with the spreader turned on, once you change the pulse duty, it definitely changes the shape. It's almost like the lower duty settings are like a more simple fractal. It's like a less complex sound. So it's a less complex stereo space imaging. What if we change the wave type from square to triangle? That's wild. Just going to triangle adds like dramatically more detail, and even more so with noise. But I'm particularly amazed that the noise setting with the spreader off is still perfectly mono. It feels like it's just pure chaos, but the pure chaos that is in the left is apparently the exact same as the pure chaos in the right, so this is technically a mono signal. Okay, so what if we go back to the square and use the stereo spreader tool, the other one that we usually use? It's got a similar effect, but a completely different shape in the scope. I so want to understand what I'm looking at here. Pulling the sliders around is fascinating. The sound doesn't have as much info in the low frequencies, so it goes basically back to mono, like 2/3 of the way down. I'm kind of guessing that this would probably be different if I had a different sound going through this. Now, we've been doing all this with 2 notes on. Remember, we kind of made it a fifth earlier. How does it change once we go back down to just 1 note? What about more notes? That's so cool. Again, don't really know what I'm looking at here, but it's really cool. Yet again, though, when you turn off the spreader, even with this many notes, the left and the right are exact mirrors of each other, so the scope shows us basically nothing. The triangle sounds with these chords sound really nice and lush, though. It kind of almost has like an LP crackle, like a vinyl crackle underneath it. What if we made some chords out of this? I see. Okay, wait. I see where the vinyl crackle's coming from. We're finally peaking the channels so hard that it is actually causing sonic distortion in my headphones. Pulling this down to like an appropriate volume and then like boosting up my headphones back to the volume I was hearing it at previously, it completely takes away the crackle. But I did like the crackle, so maybe if we bounce it, we'll be able to keep it. Sort of. It's not as strong, though. Do we have a vinyl crackle effect somewhere? What is this tape effect? Okay, that's like not at all what I was looking for, but that is sick. What a cool effect to have. I assume just like through automation you could turn this on and off. I'm definitely using that in the future. I'm not really finding the crackle effect, but I am interested in what this would sound like a bit flushed out. And so what started as a stereo experiment is now becoming a beat making session. And I'm just gonna kind of like let you guys watch. I'll stitch together as I'm like making different elements here. It's pretty cool. Tomorrow's episode we will work on this again a little bit and flesh it out more in full. But yeah, producing on a plane. Hope you enjoy.